its applications. So through this series of Yogin sites, we are trying to bring out all those dimensions into the fore. And this is the second talk of the series of Yogin sites. So thank you very much once again on behalf of Indica Yoga. Indica Yoga is a platform that offers authentic, immersive, and transformative yoga experiences in the form of courses, workshops, retreats, and festivals. So we have had so far a couple of long festivals, nearly festivals running for 40 days, uh, starting from the International Yoga Day to the next month end. So these have been various kinds of flagship events that we are running. We also have online courses, and currently we are also focusing more on retreats where we can give an immersive and authentic experience through living with closely with a teacher or a mentor or a scholar. So these have been some of our programs, and often we also do conduct online events like webinars and weekend with wisdoms, and this is the new series that we have started. So I thank you once again for joining us. And to the benefit of all our friends who have joined us, who have been following with our activities, today we are going to have a session on the science of Vedic astrology and Vastu Shastra. Many of us might wonder, why are we bringing in Vastu Shastra and astrology on a yoga platform? But I think one idea that all these wisdom traditions follow is the principle of alignment. Are we aligned to our source, to our anchoring point? So this is one of the chief questions even yoga starts with. In fact, the word yoga itself, which it comes from the root yujir yoge, to be united or to be aligned, I think is one of the definitions of yoga. Similarly, Vastu Shastra and astrology also seek this. Are we aligned to various forces which have an exchange with our life, our being, our behaving? So in this session, we will be exploring these aspects where Ridhi ji, a Vastu Shastra and astrology expert, will be talking about how we can align our life and energy according to the principles of Vastu Shastra and how spatial energy affects our lives. She'll be speaking from a scientific perspective on both Vastu Shastra and astrology. And she'll also talk about the interconnectedness of both astrology and Vastu and explain the science behind these practices. So thank you, Ridhi ji. And just a few words about Ridhi ji. She is born in an eminent family of royal astrologer in Jaipur. She inherited her interest from her and interest and belief in the science of astrology from her great grandfather, Pandit Madhusudan ji Oja ji, the astrologer of the royal lineage of Jaipur. I think this is where our parents, ancestors, elders can really make that impact. Sow the right seeds in the right time. I think that has allowed Ridhi ji to blossom in the way she is. Over 2 decades of her professional and personal commitment to this field, she has touched and impacted hundreds and thousands of people, both in India and abroad. I think this is suffice to say about the expertise of Ridhi ji. And without taking much time, I request Ridhi ji to continue from this point onwards. Over to you, Ridhi ji.
Thank you so much, Vinay, and welcome to all the participants here. Like Vinay rightly said, these are, these sciences, these ancient Indian sciences. The aim of these sciences is alignment with your own self. Because as they say, God is within you. Like Gita says, Aham Brahma Asti, means God is you, God is me, God is everywhere. It is within us. So we have to basically align within ourselves. The more that we align within ourselves, the better it has an impact on our psychology, on our physical well-being, on our mental well-being. I'm sure most of you would agree to this. Okay, so talking about astrology and about Vastu, all these are interlinked, they are ancient sciences. So where do they come from? They are known as Vedang. Vedang means the part of the Vedas. Ayurveda, which itself has the word Veda in it, it talks about the physical well-being. Same is with yoga. Yoga also is a part of Ayurveda and about and also these ancient sciences. So how does it work? and a lot of people come to me, as per Vastu, we should keep this. This is auspicious. As per Vastu, we should not do this. This is inauspicious. Or if I do this, this is lucky for me. If I don't do this, this is unlucky for me. Let me explain you this. There is nothing auspicious and inauspicious and lucky and non-lucky or unlucky in astrology and in Vastu. These are simple logical sciences. They have a scientific backing. It is just that with the passing of time and with so much of foreign invasion in our country happening, that we have kind of lost the essence. And I would blame us responsible for it, because we are not aware of our own scriptures. We get information from here and from there, and there's a mixture, there's a cocktail of everything, and we believe in everything and anything that we have been told, without actually finding the truth or without actually researching in the subject. These subjects are simple. These are guiding sciences. So how does it work? Well, as I said, Vastu has nothing to do with lucky, unlucky, or with inauspicious, auspicious. It simply works on the 5-element theory. Anybody and everybody, you, me, the plants, the animals, everybody who's on this planet is made up of the 5 elements, and eventually we will become a part of these 5 elements. It's the 5 elements which governs our lives. In Ayurveda, you must have heard of the term Kapha, Vata and Pitta. Whenever there is an imbalance of either of these elements, Kapha is water, Vata is air, Pitta is fire. So whenever there is an imbalance of any of these elements, we fall sick. Like our body has 72% water. Now when this 72% water becomes 80%, I tend to fall sick. When this 72% water becomes 60%, then also I tend to fall sick. So there has to be a balance. Same as with the other elements. Now, the way these elements have an impact on the human body, similarly, these elements have an impact on the structure that we are using, be it your office, be it your residence. All the directions have a link with these elements. How? I'll explain you. It is very, very interesting. See, Vastu, as I said, works on the theory of 5 elements. Plus, the movement of the sun is very important in Vastu. You all must have heard that, as per Vastu, having a kitchen in the southeast is best. Why having a kitchen in the southeast direction is good? Because southeast is said to be Agneya Kona, right? And kitchen is the place where there is live fire in the house. Now, just try and understand the scientific and the logic reason behind it, that why southeast is called as the Agneya Kona. Why is it the fire zone? Now, sun rises in the east, sets in the west, travels via south. Agree? We all know this, simple. Now, during the day, between 12 p.m. to 2 p.m., the sun is in the southeast direction. That is the hottest time of the day. So if you have your kitchen in the southeast where there is fire, so what are you doing? You're aligning your kitchen with the 5 elements, with the direction with the movement of the sun. So like this, you're making your house as Vastu compliant. So like southeast is called Agneya Kona because of the heat present there. Similarly, other directions also have a role to play and have a connection with the 5 elements. For example, let's start with north. Now, as I said, sun rises in the east, sets in the west via south. There is no sun in the north. See, Vastu was written, as I said, certainly the 5 elements, but also keeping the climatic conditions in the mind, right? You must have heard of Feng Shui. Feng Shui started in China. So Feng Shui principles more or less are the same as the Vastu principles because the 5 elements are there also. As I said, 5 elements are for everybody present on this planet. Apart from that, there are certain different points then from Vastu in Feng Shui. Now, why is this difference? The difference is because when Feng Shui was written in China, they had their climatic conditions in mind. So keeping the climatic conditions of China, they had written the Feng Shui principles. Same, and Vastu, because it was originated from India, so the principles were written keeping the Indian climatic conditions in mind. Now comes the question then, does the Vastu principle applies all over the world, is it the same? So like say I'm living here and my child is living in Australia, so will the Vastu for Australia be the same? Well, as I said, Vastu, the movement of sun plays a very important role. And we all know that Earth has two poles, North Pole and South Pole. So people living in the northern hemisphere, sorry, there are two hemispheres, northern hemisphere and southern hemisphere. So people living in the northern hemisphere, for them, Vastu will be the same. People living in the southern hemisphere, Vastu will be same. But for northern hemisphere and southern hemisphere, it will be different. Why? Because of the movement of the sun. As simple as this, right? Now, talking about the elements, this is one myth, which a lot of people ask me, and I'm sure even you must have heard, that north-facing property is very good, be it your residence or be it your office, whereas south-facing property is not good. I'm sure you must have come across this. At least I come across this statement a lot of time. A lot of people call me, oh, I'm not doing well in business because my house is south facing or my office is south facing. And, questions like this really come. Well, let me tell you, no direction is good direction or no direction is a bad direction. Every direction has certain good things and certain not so good things. And in a country like India, where we have 4 seasons, so every season is good for every direction. I'll just explain you further. See, like I said, sun rises in the east, sets in the west, travels via south. There is no sun in the north. I'm explaining you this, that why people say that, north facing is good and south facing is not good. And believe me, nobody tries to get into the reason or tries to find what is the logic. Why do we say something like this? And this is a very strong and a very age-old myth, which has been carrying forward from generations. So I'll give you the reason. And, once you hear the reason, you'll find it's so simple and it's so funny also. So if you have, all our gods and goddesses, if you see in the pictures, we place them. Where do we place them? We place them on hilltops. We place them on mountains. We say Shiva lives in Kailash Mansarovar, right? We have these stories, the mythological stories, where we say if you die and you go to hell, they will fry you in, in a pan, and there will be a lot of heat. They will heat you. Similarly, if you hear the mythological stories of cold countries, what do they say? They say if you die and you go to hell, they will tie you with an ice slab. They will put you in an ice cave. What does this mean? This means that for us, India, which is primarily a hot country, and we experience more summers than winters, for us, heat is hell and cold is heaven. Whereas for a cold country, cold is hell and heat is heaven. That is why these stories originated. Now, south is where the sun is maximum time of the day. It is the hot zone. That is why it is said that you should not have a south facing house, because your house will stay warm most of the time. And in a country like India, we need to, we avoid heat. We want more cold. We want more cool weather. And see, when Vastu was written, there were no fans, there were no ACs. So people were kind of, dependent totally on the weather, on the climate, and on the directions. That is why it is written that north-facing property will be good because your house will stay cool. See, such a simple reason and such a simple logic. What does it has to do with being auspicious, inauspicious, lucky, unlucky? Nothing. Okay, so north, since there is no sun, we associate north direction with water, right? North, northeast, northeast. Northeast is the direction for health and immunity. As I said, our body has 72% water. So our body, human body, is primarily dominated by water. And northeast direction specifically rules or governs over health and immunity. See, this is how the connection is established. North also we link with opportunities, with cash flow, with liquid cash. Don't we say, what is your liquidity? या पैसा पानी की तरह चला गया. So liquidity or liquid is associated with cash flow. So north is the direction that governs over liquid cash or over liquidity. Northeast is the direction which governs over our health and immunity. Then comes east. East is the direction which is governed by air. It is an air element dominated direction. It is said that east you should plant trees. Why is it said east? Or we associate trees with air element. Why? Because sun rises in the east, and rising sun rays have a lot of benefits which we all know. So if you plant trees that side, they will get a lot of, the benefits of that rising sun heat. It is said that you should have a bigger window in east, you should not have any window in the west, you should not have plants in the west. Again, this concept of sunrise and sunset, because in the east sun is rising, so rising sun rays have a lot of benefits. West sun is setting, so setting sun rays are really harmful. So if you put plants that side, it will not be good. If you have big windows that side, obviously more sunlight from the west direction will come, which is not good for your health. See how simple it is, and see how interestingly it works. Same thing is with astrology. I remember when I was doing astrology, so my husband asked me, tell me one thing, we are sitting on this planet Earth, and it's been 21st century, and we have not stepped on Mars till now. Science has been really progressing, scientists have been really trying. Forget stepping on, planet like Jupiter or Saturn, which is some 1,000 light years away from Earth. But how do these planets, which are so far away from us, govern our lives? Whenever we go to an astrologer, he looks at a horoscope and says, oh, you have a strong Mars, or you're running the period of Saturn, which is not very good. So how does this work? How, me sitting here so far away, and how these planets are having such a, massive impact on me? Well, see, I'll explain you this. See, everything in this universe is interconnected. Everything is connected. Everything has a correlation. If there is sun, there is life. It takes 8 minutes for the sunlight to fall on Earth. Whenever there is an eclipse, it is for a few minutes also, but if you notice that whenever there is an eclipse, especially solar eclipse, it happens during the daytime, you see everything comes to a standstill. The leaves, the plants, nothing moves. The birds, the animals, everybody's quiet. The whole atmosphere, you can feel that there is something, that is not the way it should happen. So just see, just for a few minutes, if the sunlight doesn't reaches us, life comes to a halt. What does that prove? That proves that if there is sun, there is life. If there is no sun, there is no life. We all agree to it, right? You must have heard of high tide and low tide. When does this happen? When does high tide happens? It happens during full moon nights. The moonlight and the gravitational or the pull of the moon is so strong that it can create a havoc in the big ocean. So just imagine the human body, which is 72% water, what impact that moonlight must be having on us. In astrology, we relate moon with a mindset. Again, moon is liquid, moon is fluid. Our mind is also fluid. It is liquid, mind runs like anything. Sitting here, maybe you're sitting here, but mentally you are in America, right? Or anywhere else on any other planet as well. So the way the sun and the moon rays, or the sunlight or the moonlight, has an impact on us, not just on us, on the nature, on the plants, on everything around us. Similarly, the rays of the other planets also have an impact on us. It is just that with the naked eye, we cannot see. But people who know astronomy or who have learned astrology also will agree with me that, there are times when you can see Venus with the naked eye, when you can see Jupiter with the naked eye. In December 21, Jupiter and Saturn, they came so close together. It was a rare astronomical phenomena. Certainly they came together, and this will have an impact on astrologically on the entire world. So this decade, 2020's decade, is going to be a transformational decade, because Saturn and Jupiter coming together brings about a lot of change, because both these planets are big planets. The gravitational pull is also very strong. So the impact of this is something which we see for a long run. And the impact is not just limited to a particular place or a particular country. It is a worldwide phenomena. So one will experience changes, or one will see a lot of changes happening in the entire world. So see, this is how astrology also works. Now, let me tell you one thing. Whatever has to happen will happen. Nobody and nothing can change it. Then comes the point, then why do we need to visit an astrologer when everything has, whatever has to happen will happen? See, I'll give you an example. I had a client, they had a son who was 15 years of age. And the father was a businessman and he wanted the son to pursue his business. The mother was a lawyer and she wanted the child to pursue law because she had a chamber in the high court and she wanted, who will take after me? Now, both of them, parents were also confused. The child was also confused. So they came to me. They said, please tell us, guide us. What do we do? What does a child has in future? Now, seeing his chart, seeing the planetary position, I could guide that this is the subject that he should opt for. This is what he's going to do, right? Now, see here, everything eventually the child will only do. He will only study. He will only opt for a career. It is just that an astrologer can give you a guidance. It is, that's why I said in the beginning, it is a guiding science. It can tell you, it can guide you. Yes, like how the weather people make the prediction that it's going to rain today. So, when you read the prediction, you carry an umbrella or you postpone your plan. Oh, it's going to rain today. So maybe today we don't go for an outdoor thing. We'll go tomorrow. Same thing an astrologer also does, So he or she can tell you, yes, the time coming ahead is favorable for you to do a business, or a time coming forward is not so good to pursue any academics. Eventually, you will only have to do it. It is just take it as a guiding science. Now comes the question that a lot of people say, then what is destiny? And a lot of people say destiny is fixed. So that means, whatever my planetary position, planets have in store, life will happen that way only. I have no say over the events of my life. No, it is not so. It is not like this. In astrology, in anything rather, there is never 100%. In astrology also, we say 75% is your stars and 25% is your free will, what we call as prarabdha karma, right? So with that 25% prarabdha karmas of yours, you can change the 75%. See, whatever you're born as, the family you were born in, the parents you got, the siblings you have got, that is destiny because you had no choice over it, right? But now, once you become an adult, once you, pursue your life, when you have the charge over your life, so you can change your destiny with your own karmas, with your prarabdha karmas, right? I think it's getting a little confusing. What is destiny? What are karmas? How does it exactly work? I'll tell you an interesting story from the Mahabharata. We all have heard of Mahabharata. We know what a big war, what a disastrous war it was. So when Mahabharata was to be fought, there were a lot of people at that time, who never wanted that the war should happen because they could see, what the future will happen. Entire generations will be wiped off. A lot of people will die. So one of the gentlemen during that time was Karn. He never wanted that the war should happen. So he approached the Kauravas. He said, let us, he first went to the Pandavas. He said, please, you have always been just people and you have been the sensible ones. So please see that the war doesn't happen, So they get very annoyed. They said every time, throughout our life, we have faced injustice. And now the time has come when we are asking for justice. And now we know that we'll get the justice. And now you're saying, don't go for a war. That's not possible. We will go for a war. Anyways, he goes to the Kauravas. He says, see, I have been your friend. I have been your well-wisher. I would advise, please don't go for a war. It will be very disastrous. But we know how arrogant the Kauravas were. They did not agree. Then he goes to Krishna. He says, Aap to Bhagwan hai, you are Lord. You know what is going to happen. So please try and stop, prevent this war from happening. So Krishna says, see, I can do nothing. I can just tell you, I can guide you. I can tell you, take you to that person, who can be instrumental in stopping the war. He says, go to Draupadi. Because whatever happened with Draupadi in the Dyut Sabha, after that, she became more revengeful and she really wanted the war to happen because she was very keen on the revenge. So Karn goes to Draupadi. Moment she hears this, that he's come to say that, you should not have a war, explain the Pandavas, she gets very upset. She said, how can you even think of saying this? War will happen. We are waiting for the revenge to take place. Anyways, they have a dialogue where Draupadi, gives her viewpoints. Karn gives his viewpoints. In the end, Draupadi says, jo bhi kuch karta hai, Bhagwan karta hai. whatever, is done is, it is God, who decides what has to be done. To which Kern says, just hear me out carefully, to which Kern says, अगर सब कुछ भगवान करता तो वो इंसान को बनाता ही क्यों? If God would have done everything, why would he create man? So an astrologer can tell you you're destined for good food. So you go to a 5-star, but now it is your free will that you pick up a plate and you eat 10 gulab jamuns and spoil your health, or you eat 1 gulab jamun, right? So astrology is a wonderful guiding science. Like, I'll give you my own example. Like, I'm a classic case of migraine. Now, seeing my horoscope, I can tell which day I will have migraine, right? I know what are the triggering factors, what leads to it. So the days I'm careful and cautious, the intensity of migraine is less, but the days I'm not, it happens, right? So, but it will happen eventually. Like, we did this wonderful research in medical astrology where we took more than 500 horoscopes and we analyzed that by seeing the horoscope, how you can tell that a person will have cancer or tumor. Now, I remember I told this to one gentleman. I said, we have done this research and, by seeing the chart, we can tell, person will have cancer or tumor. He said, oh, how scary is that? Suppose if I get to know that, I'll die of scare only. But see, it's not like this. If you know in advance that, you are going to have this problem, you can take care, you can take precautions. And maybe the problem happens, but the intensity is not that much. You can control it at a very initial stage. So this is what astrology is all about. And what it has been made as a science of remedies. Believe me, in astrology, even Bhagavad Gita says, remedies or rituals, doing rituals is the first step towards alignment, but it is not the ultimate step towards alignment. It is not the ultimate step to attain moksha. It is just the beginning. But what happens? We all get stuck at that level only. See, being an astrologer, I wear no stones. Neither do I recommend those elaborated big pujas. There is nothing wrong in doing those pujas. But a lot of people come to me, saying, we have asked a Panditji to do the puja for us. And we know it's going to do good for me. It's like, you saying you are having a stomach ache and you ask the Panditji to take medicine for you and you will be all right. Does it happen? No. Even in the scriptures, it is written that whatever pujas and rituals you want to do, you should be doing it yourselves. See, mantras are basically positive vibrations. And there has been a lot of research behind these mantras. It is not just that one day one sage or one rishi got up and he wrote a mantra. No, there is a reason, there is a logic. It's an, the science of mantras is itself a very vast and a very deep subject. So chanting mantras is very, very effective because it controls your mind, and everything is a mind game. Like, I'm a big devotee of Hanuman Chalisa. I have an immense faith in Hanuman Chalisa. Now, doing Hanuman Chalisa really helps me. Now, how does it help me? It's not that Hanumanji is coming and solving all my problems. No, I am only solving my problems. It is just that Hanuman Chalisa is making me mentally strong, is preparing me to face the situation so that I can sail through the situation. Similar thing is with the other mantras as well. So this is how, astrology works. Coming to Vastu again, because Vastu is a fascinating topic, So talking about Vastu again, like I said, the different elements are aligned to different directions. Now, how does Vastu exactly work? What do you do? You said alignment of elements on the structure. So what does a Vastu expert exactly do? See, in Vastu, it is written that a square plot is best. Why? Because if the plot is square, so you will get the benefits of all the directions. All directions are equally distributed. Now, with changing times, when Vastu was written some 5,000, more than that, 6,000 years back, the way houses were constructed, the way the people used to live was very different from the way we live now. The way the houses have been constructed now. Now, we have apartments. We have ready to move in apartments where, the builder makes everything. We just have to pack our bags and go, right? So what happens and how does Vastu apply there? Well, as this is what I'm trying to explain you is that the Vastu expert, what does a Vastu expert do? A Vastu expert comes and checks that what is the situation of different directions in your house, if certain direction is extended or certain direction is less. Now, this is a little technical thing which a Vastu person will only be able to see. And from your floor plan, from the map of the house, the map we say as floor plan, from the map of the house, sorry, but I had trouble with the time zones. Okay, no problem, Jen, you can still be here. Okay, so Vastu, we make the floor plan, and in the floor plan, we make the Vastu works on 16 directions. You all must have heard of the 4 basic directions. The 4 basic directions, north, east, south, and west. We divide them further into 8 directions and further into 16 directions. Every 20 degree, the direction changes. And as I said, all these 16 directions have certain attributes which has an impact on our life, be it health, be it relationship, be it progress in our lives, be it money matters. So all the aspects of our life are covered in these 16 directions. And we, Vastu aims that we get the benefit of all these attributes. Like, you should have a good family life, you should be successful in your career, you should have a good health, right? Now, for this, if there is a Vastu imbalance, that means if a direction is extended or if a direction is exhausted, then you will see the benefits or, the not so good things of that particular direction. Like I said, north-northeast is the zone for health and immunity. Now, suppose if your north-northeast is exhausted, in your house, it is cut or it is exhausted. So what will happen? You will have health-related issues. Suppose if north-northeast is extended, it is, going too much, then what will happen? Then everybody living in that house will be, obsessed with health. There are people like this, I'm sure you must have seen, going to the gym 6 to 6, 4 hours, eating everything, counting their calories, eating everything as per, what is right for their health, what is not so right for their health. So you become obsessed, which is also wrong. So there has to be a proper balance of each direction. And that is what Vastu aims at. And that is what a Vastu professional does. Now comes a very important question, which a lot of people ask me, and I'm sure you also must be having in mind. That does Vastu always require structural changes? And, I've come across people who have said, we went to a Vastu consultant and he said, remove the main door only from here to there. How is it possible? House is already constructed. How can one do that? So let me tell you this, Vastu always doesn't needs or doesn't require structural changes. Like I said, these sciences are very logical, right? If you try to get into the depth of the problem, that what is the problem? There is a solution itself to the problem, which doesn't always requires you breaking the structure or, putting those pyramids or crystals. See, when Vastu was written, these things did not exist. There was nothing like pyramids and there was nothing like crystals. These are more marketing gimmicks. As I said, people ask for the convenience have made it more commercial. It has become more a science of remedy, which it is not. It is more a science of logic. That is why, see, we have such a long history. And as I said, these sciences were written some thousands and lakhs of years back, and they are still surviving. Like, look at yoga. Yoga, okay, there were times when people were not following it that much. But now look at yoga, the way, people are following and the way people are benefiting out of it, which is wonderful, and it is not just, and again, yoga, Vastu, astrology has nothing to do with religion. People generally confuse, that, these are religious things. You'll have to do certain puja, mantras. No, it's not so. It has nothing to do with religion. In fact, I myself have clients from all different religions, from so many different communities and from all across the world, right? So this is how, Vastu, which is so logical and scientific, works. And this is how astrology works. So time given to me was this. Otherwise, this is one topic where I can go on and on and on, and I can give you so many examples, and I can, really speak a lot about this subject. But I would really want, if you guys have any questions, so we can take up some questions, and maybe in that questions, there are certain points which maybe I missed. I can, cover up them.
Thank you, Ridhi ji, for your, what should I say, passionate sharing.
Thank you.
The insights that you have acquired over 2 decades of your practice. I think it was enriched from the anecdotes that you are drawing, personal experiences, and also from the episodes of Ramayana and Mahabharata. I think that made our understanding much more clear on these topics, especially highlighting the connected aspects of all these wisdom traditions, whether when we speak about the five elements, whether we take up yoga or vastu or any of these sciences. I think our understanding starts from these levels, the Pancha Mahabhuta, these subtle elements, how they interact, how they come together to make one whole being. In fact, the entire yoga shastra, which proceeds from Sankhya, has this 25 element theory. And this coming together
I would
is
like
the
to
most
interrupt here,
important
Vinay.
context.
I'm sorry,
Yes.
I'm interrupting, but
Yes.
Vastu also comes from Sankhya Yoga.
Exactly, yeah. So all these have a shared roots, and that's why the concepts, whether when you were speaking about karma or any of these, like you have the same technical terms, but the way you understand them, the way you deal with them, each of these sciences have come up with their own approaches. I think that's the beauty. So with that, I want to open this up for question answers. We already have a couple of questions that have been lined up. Maybe I will present them to you, and then if there are more questions, we can, in the interest of time, we can look into them accordingly. So there is one question from Raghavanji who is asking, because you were also mentioning about Vastu does not speak more about remedy. So then how does a remedy happens in the Vastu, or according to the Vastu Shastra, how can remedy be done?
Okay, so there are remedies. Certainly, it's not that there are no remedies to it. But then, as I said, all these remedies are logical and practical. They are not illogical remedies, like I said, breaking off a particular structure or placing a pyramid or placing a crystal. It doesn't work this way. Like I said, basically it is the alignment or balancing of the structure of the five elements. Now, like, see, I said fire, like I give you this example of fire, that having fire in the southeast, as it is aligning your structure to the five elements. North is water, right? Water zone. So having a water body, if not a water body, even colors play a very important role. So say in south, you have a bedroom, you don't have a kitchen. Then what? So you paint it red, right? Electricity in modern terms, see, when Vastu was written, there was nothing electric. Electricity also represents fire, right? So having your electricity panel or your generator or your inverter in the south is, again, you're getting fire in the south. So the simple things like this, which works as a remedy also, and which are logical also, right? It's not always that, you have to break things. Plus metals, because metals also come from earth. So metals also are associated with elements. Like copper represents fire element. Fire is the direction of, is south direction is fire. Aluminum represents water, north zone. Iron is represented by west, the west zone. So like this, with these metals also we do certain remedies. So there are remedies. It's not that there are no remedies, right? But then, as I said, one should try to get into the root of the problem, that what is the problem and why do we need a remedy. It is like, you fall sick, then only you need a medicine. It's not that you go to a doctor, the doctor has to prescribe you a medicine. So it's like this, right? Yeah.
Thank you, Ridhi ji. Moving on to the next question. This is from Kalbhushan ji. I think many people would have wished to ask you this question. Could you please speak about Sade Sati?
Sade Sati, yes, I forgot. Yes, Sade Sati, Kal Sarp. These are favorite terms of astrologers, and especially as I said, this astrology especially has become a science of fear. I remember my guru, Shri K.N. Rao, he would say, a best client you can get is a mother. You tell a mother that, your child has this problem in the horoscope, and that mother will always be, taking down, she'll always be there with you. So this has become more a science of fear, which it is not. Please don't get scared. Don't go to an astrologer who tries to scare you. Oh, this is happening because of this, and you'll have to go to Gaya or you'll have to go to Narmada and do this ritual, and then only it will be solved. No, please don't get trapped to all this, right? See, Sade Sati is, firstly, Sade Sati happens to everyone. It's not that, it's just with special cases, everyone. And Sade Sati is a cycle of 30 years. So every individual experiences Sade Sati after every 30 years. Now, please try and understand what Sade Sati is. It is little technical. I'll try to make it easy so that you can understand. Now, Moon and Saturn, when they come together, then a person experiences Sade Sati. Saturn stays in a sign, in a zodiac sign, for 2.5 years. So Saturn's movement on the sign where your moon is, a sign prior to that, on that sign, and the next sign, that is 2.5, 2.5, and 2.5. It is 7.5 years cycle. See, I'll just explain you further. Suppose your moon is in Aries, right? And transiting Saturn, when it comes into Pisces, that is a sign before Aries, your Sade Sati will start. And as I said, Saturn stays in a sign for 2.5 years. So for 2.5 years, it will be in Pisces. Then it will come in Aries, where your moon is. That is again 2.5 years. That makes 5 years. Then it will go to Taurus. That is the sign next to your moon. Again, 2.5 years. So this is a 7.5 year period, Sade Sati. Now, why people get scared of Sade Sati? See, Saturn is a karmic planet. Saturn is like that strict teacher who will punish you, who will, maybe give you a slap also if you don't perform. But his aim is that you perform, you work hard and score better. That is the work of Saturn. Now, we humans, it's human tendency of not to work hard. Tell me, who wants to get up in the morning and go to office and work? Don't we all want to just lie down, relax, and think, everything should be done on their own. We don't want to go and work hard. So this is human nature. So when you have to work hard, you don't enjoy. That is why people get scared of Sade Sati. Out of the 8 prime ministers India has had, 7 prime ministers were running their Sade Sati when they became prime ministers. In fact, Mr. Modi also started his Sade Sati in 2014. See, he became the prime minister. Indira Gandhi, she lost the election. She came back when her Sade Sati was running. Manmohan Singh ji was also running his Sade Sati. Lal Bahadur Shastri was also running his Sade Sati. Mahendra Singh Dhoni was running his Sade Sati when he won the World Cup. So being the prime minister of the country, is it easy? You have to really work hard. Or do you think it is easy to win the World Cup? How much effort he might have to put in? So Sade Sati makes you work hard, but then it gives you result. So there's nothing to be scared of Sade Sati. Please don't take it in a negative form. Dhirubhai Ambani became Dhirubhai Ambani when he was running his Sade Sati. So I hope this explains.
Thank you, Ridhi ji, for putting things in perspective. Otherwise, sometimes these terminologies that people use in the common parlance, I think they start some sort of causing fear in the minds of people. I think your explanations were very helpful in alleviating those fears and giving some sense of assurance to understand them in the right perspective. Moving on to the next question, I think this is very important even from yogic background. Normally, the movements of the mind are also associated with natural phenomenon, especially the full moon day.
Yes, absolutely.
So there's also this phenomenon that people have noticed that during the full moon day, there are very strong impacts on mind, especially there could be some kind of disturbances as well.
Yes.
So Balchandranji is asking, how does one control the mental disturbances that occur during the full moon day?
Yeah, so this is a very important question. Again, we did a research, So we found out that children who are special children, on the days of full moon especially, they get really very disturbed, So they get very restless. And even otherwise it is seen, seeing the position of moon in your horoscope, one can tell you, and a good astrologer can tell you, yes, full moon days or Amavasya days when there is no moon, what will be the impact on your mental state during those days, Same with Ekadashi also, why we keep Ekadashi fast also has a scientific reason. This will really become very long if I start explaining you that. Anyways, so talking about how we can control our moon, the best way to control your mind is meditation. Believe me, I'm sure you must have heard it many times, but believe me, that is the best. There's nothing better than meditation. Even at the time of eclipse, it is said that you should meditate because that is a very good time when you can connect with yourself and connect with the cosmic energies. Will this lead to full course, please?
In fact, I'm reminded of one of the mantras. In many of the mantras, this occurrence comes.
Yeah.
Surya Grahe, Pratima Sannidhau Va Japtva, Siddha Mantro Bhavati.
Right.
Especially when a big natural phenomenon is happening. And
Yeah.
then you get into any sadhana, especially meditation or mantra japa, then the mantra siddhi happens. So this is one word or one statement that gets repeated often in many of the mantras.
Correct, correct. Very true, very true, very true.
So I think a related question from Balachandranji is about meditation. Does meditation and humble awareness that as a human being we need to simply surrender to the creator and leave everything in his hands a better attitude to face uncertainties?
Yes,
So
absolutely.
maybe before you answer, I also club other questions.
Yeah.
Ridhi, if I can add a couple of other related questions.
Yes, please.
Then
please,
maybe
please.
you can take them all together.
Yeah,
So there's also a question about the prarabdha karma, because this is where the whole thing, free will and destiny, the play of these two forces. How much should one surrender, or how much one should assume that he's in control of? Because this is where the fight, the conflict emerges. So how do we deal with this situation?
Of prarabdha and free will?
Yeah, prarabdha.
And
free will.
See, like, they say nobody's born murderer or nobody is a born terrorist, right? It is, your situation, certainly, but then your free will, two children born in the same family, get the same kind of upbringing, get the same kind of, everything is the same, but then still they behave differently in different situations. That is what we humans also. So our prarabdha and our karma should be like, Mr. Balchandran said also, that you have to surrender. So you have to, whatever is best is your duty or your responsibility. You have to do that only. Don't, like Gita says this again, I'm coming to the basics, and these are things that we have heard, but then these are the things which are very valid, is that don't bother about the result. Whatever your karmas are, whatever your duties are, you do that. Like how do we, bring up a child? We don't bring up a child with this intention, he's, when if I invest money in him this much on his education, tomorrow with interest this money will be this much and he'll give me this. We don't do that. We do it with self, we be selfless and then we do it, right? So same thing, you have to, or look after your parents. We do it selflessly, right? We are not concerned about the outcome, that if I take care of my mother, then, maybe she will do this to me. So that is, we don't do that. And if you're doing that, then that's absolutely wrong. So similarly, when it comes to your prarabdha karma, because your prarabdha karmas are eventually going to shape your destiny. So that is very, very, very important. So whatever karmas you do with your free will coming into play, you have to really decide and really act, sensibly in shaping your destiny and doing your prarabdha karma. Although this karma and destiny is a very, very long topic and it's a separate topic altogether, So, but in a nutshell, I try to explain it.
True. I think that's the reason why we are getting this request that will this lead on to a full course, please? Or will there be a course on astrology that we can offer from our platform? We do have an Indica Courses platform where we curate courses on such interesting topics. So I think on behalf of all our participants, I'll pass on this request to you to consider offering a course on our platform.
I would love to do that, but then I would tell you one thing to all the participants: it needs patience. Astrology is a very, very, very deep science. It's been so many years that I've been practicing, but every day I have to sit and read my books. And every day when I see a chart, it's a new chart for me. And there are times when I get confused. Oh, why did I say this? Or, oh, why did this happen? I could not understand. So I have to refer to my books. So it is an ongoing thing. Once you are into it, it is an ongoing process. So if you have the patience, I'm willing to offer you my, my knowledge, willing to share that with you.
Wonderful. Thank you, Ridhi ji. Yeah. There are a couple of personal questions. Maybe I'll just put a part of those questions here. There are people asking about when you feel there is some sort of negativity at their homes, how do you remove them, especially if that might affect children's future or their studies or their performance or health. So how do you deal with such situations?
Negative situations?
Yeah, when there is some sort of negative energy that is felt in homes for various reasons.
Okay. So now see, there are two ways of dealing with it. One is the Vastu way. We say, there should be in Vastu, that is why, sun, natural light, natural air, all these play a very important role, right? So please keep the doors and windows of your house open. See what happens, whenever you go to a storeroom or to a room which has been closed for many, for a lot of days, when you step in, don't you feel suffocated? Oh, you don't feel happy about it. Why? Because the energy is being trapped there. So when you open the doors and the windows, so the flow or the movement of energies happen. It is so obvious, in any household, we tend to fight, we tend to argue, we tend to disagree, so that creates a negative atmosphere. But that is why, it is said that you should keep all the doors and windows open. Whenever, in our concept, there's the concept of arti, and it was said that, you should circulate that arti throughout the house. Or when we do havan, take that havan kund throughout the house so that the positive energies circulate, right? So that is one thing that is very important. Also, chanting of mantras or doing, anything that any faith or any mantras that you follow, when you chant, that is why it is said that when you do a puja or a mantra, chant and speak, you should be able to hear it, it should be loud enough. So those positive energies, also those positive vibrations also travel in your house, and that creates a positive atmosphere. So, when there are children, I would advise even to children, to kids, please teach them some mantras, maybe Hanuman Chalisa, maybe Gayatri mantra, something easy which they can do easily, right? And before night or in the morning, tell them to chant even 3 times, 3 Gayatri mantras. That will be good enough for them. That will really fill them with a lot of positive energy.
I think this is a very important message that we can take from this session, that there are some simple techniques like this, the practices that have been in our tradition for a long time, and unfortunately we seem to have lost track of it today.
Correct. Very, very well said. Very well said. Everything is there, everything is within us, we have to discover it and we start looking for it outside.
Sure. So maybe Ridhi, I'll take this last question in the interest of time. This is from Monica Thaparji. I'm sure many would share this curiosity and keen to know because the science behind this practice. Can you explain the science of Ekadashi and why fast during those days or some specific days are helpful?
The Ekadashi is again connected with the movement of moon, right? Ekadashi fast, it is said that, because as I said, 70% is 72% is water, right? And food is cooked in water. Especially, I remember my grandmother saying, okay, if you cannot fast during Ekadashi, at least don't eat rice. So which I could not understand as a child, why don't eat rice? Because rice is primarily cooked in water, right? So what happens if there will be excess of water in the body, and moon we associate with our mind. So there will be excess of water, it will lead us to high emotions. We'll be very emotional and very vulnerable. So to control our emotions, see, everything is a mind game. So to control our emotions and to control, have a, good and healthy mind, it was said that you should fast during Ekadashi.
Thank you, Ridhi ji.
Thank you so much. I hope it was useful, and I hope you all, enjoyed the session.
It was definitely useful, and I think all our friends, participants will go back with this message and an assurance that these are the sciences to help them to make their life more meaningful and add or bring value to it and bring some beauty to it rather than being afraid of something. It's not about being anxious, being worried. The focus is not on these factors, but rather how do you use this knowledge to bring some value, some kind of what we say as richness to their own lives.
Yes, that is the aim. That is the objective. Thank you so much, and namaskar.
Thank you so much, Ridhi. And I just want to mention it to our participants that all these videos are available on Indica Yoga YouTube channel and Indica Yoga website. So kindly make use of them. And we have a series of talks that have been lined up for every Friday. So please stay with us for Yoga Insights event. We do have physical retreats, in-person retreats that have started where we spend substantial time with a teacher, scholar, practitioner over a weekend or a few days, staying in his presence, learning from him, and immersing ourselves through that experience. So the retreats are there. So there are various kinds of offerings that Indica Yoga, Indica Moksha, and even other platforms of Indica are offering. So kindly make use of all these offerings and do join us, participate in all these. So thank you once again. Namaste and Shubharatri from whichever part of the world that you have joined us.